Human respiratory system is our next topic. We have a pair of external nostrils opening out above the upper lips. It leads to a nasal chamber through the nasal passage. So in the diagram also we can see that we have the external nostril just above the upper lip, and this external nostril leads to nasal cavity through nasal passage. This nasal cavity is then connected to pharynx, and from pharynx it opens into larynx, and from larynx into trachea. The nasal chamber opens into the pharynx, a portion of which is the common passage for food and air. The pharynx opens through the larynx region into trachea. Larynx is a cartilaginous box which helps in sound production. The larynx is basically made up of cartilage and it helps in sound production, hence it is also called as sound box. During swallowing, glottis can be covered by a thin elastic cartilaginous flap called epiglottis to prevent the entry of food into the larynx. Because pharynx is a common passage for both food and air, so in order to prevent the entry of food into larynx, epiglottis is very useful. In the diagram also we can see that this opening is known as glottis and it is surrounded by vocal cords. Trachea is a straight tube extending up to the mid-thoracic cavity. So we can see in the diagram also, trachea extends somewhat till the mid-thoracic cavity, and from here it divides into bronchi, right and left bronchi. Then each bronchi undergoes repeated division to form secondary, tertiary bronchi, and then it further divides to form bronchioles. The trachea, primary, secondary and tertiary bronchi and initial bronchioles are all supported by incomplete cartilaginous rings. These cartilaginous rings prevents them from collapsing. Each terminal bronchiole gives rise to a number of very thin, irregularly walled and vascularized bag-like structure called alveoli. So each terminal means the bronchiole at the very end. After dividing, the bronchiole that we get at the very end or at the very last is known as terminal bronchiole. The terminal bronchiole gives rise to a number of very thin, irregular walled, vascularized bag-like structure. So these bag-like structures which have heavy supply of blood, they are thin and they have irregular walls. The branching network of bronchi, bronchioles and alveoli comprises the lungs. So basically lung is made up of bronchi, bronchioles and alveoli. We have two lungs which are covered by a double layered pleura with pleural fluid between them. In this diagram we can see that this is the outer pleura known as parietal pleura. This is the inner pleura known as the visceral pleura, and the cavity between them is known as pleural cavity. It reduces the friction of the lung surface. The outer pleural is in close contact with the thoracic lining, whereas the inner pleural membrane is in contact with the lung surface. We can see the inner pleural is in contact with the lungs. The part starting with the external nostril up to the terminal bronchiole constitute the conducting part, whereas the alveoli and their ducts form the respiratory or exchange part of the respiratory system. So we have two parts here. First part is known as, we have a respiratory system or respiratory part, and then we have the conducting part. Conducting part is that part that is involved in transport of oxygen from outer environment till the alveoli, whereas exchange part is the area where actual exchange takes place. The conducting part transports the atmospheric air to the alveoli. The conducting part will bring the atmospheric oxygen to the alveoli, clears it from foreign particles, humidifies and also brings the air to body temperature. So before actually passing on and giving the air to alveoli, it will first remove all the foreign particles from the air, humidify it, means put some water droplets kind of thing, means to increase the humidity, and then also bring the air to the body temperature, and then it will give it to alveoli. This is the work of conducting part. The exchange part is the site of actual diffusion of oxygen and CO2 between the blood and atmospheric air. The lungs are situated in the thoracic chamber. This is the thoracic chamber, which is anatomically an airtight chamber. It is an airtight chamber. The thoracic chamber is dorsally by the vertebral column. So dorsally we have the vertebral column, and we can see that here this whole part at the back, it is the vertebral column. Ventrally by the sternum. Ventrally we cannot see in this diagram, but ventrally we have sternum, and then laterally they are covered with ribs, and on the lower side we have a dome shaped diaphragm. This structure is diaphragm. The anatomical setup of lungs in thoracic is such that any change in the volume of the thoracic cavity will be reflected in the lung cavity. Such an arrangement is essential for breathing, as we cannot directly alter our pulmonary volume. Respiration involves the following steps. First of all, breathing or pulmonary ventilation, by which atmospheric air is drawn in and CO2 rich alveolar air is released out. So first of all, we will inhale and we will take in oxygen, and then we will release CO2 rich alveolar air, because right now the air that is present at the alveolar sac have high amount of CO2. So we will release that CO2 and we will bring in air that is rich in oxygen. Then after bringing rich oxygen air to the alveoli, diffusion will happen across the membrane, alveolar membrane. Then transport of gases will occur by blood. Then diffusion of oxygen and CO2 between blood and tissue will occur. After the alveolar oxygen is exchanged with blood, this blood will transport this oxygen to the tissue, and from tissue oxygen and CO2 will be exchanged. Oxygen will be taken up by the tissue and CO2 will be released. Utilization of oxygen by the cell for catabolic reaction and the resultant release of CO2.